He said, "Mom, you're around too much." That afternoon, I set the groceries down, looked at my son, and felt something inside me finally go still. For years I paid the bills, cooked their meals, babysat their child until the whispers began, until I realized kindness had turned into permission. That day, I didn't argue. I smiled, nodded, and started planning. What they never saw coming was that quiet mothers can be dangerous when they stop asking to stay. By the time they noticed, the house and the future were already mine again. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The front door clicked shut behind me. Paper bags cut into my fingers. Milk, bread, chicken thighs for dinner. Tuesday afternoon sunlight filled the living room. My son stood in the center of it. Adam did not help with the groceries. He stood with his arms crossed. Light touched his face but could not warm it. He said they needed space. His wife and him. He said my presence made the house feel heavy. I set the bags on the counter. Milk first, always milk first. The cold of the carton stung my palm. I nodded. I did not speak yet. 3 weeks earlier, I had stood in this same kitchen. Morning steam rose from my coffee cup. I had watched Ellie, my granddaughter, eat cereal at the table. Her spoon clinked against the bowl. She hummed a song from school. I loved that sound. I loved her. That morning felt like safety. Now Adam waited for my reaction. I placed eggs in the refrigerator door. One cracked. Yolk leaked onto the shelf. I wiped it with a paper towel. The yellow stain remained. I bought this house 11 years ago. Paid cash. The deed carries only my name. I gave it to Adam when he married Lena. A wedding gift. A foundation. I told him to build his life here. I took the smallest bedroom. The one that faces the alley. I woke early to cook breakfast. I babysat Ellie 3 days a week. I paid for the new roof last October. The whispers started 6 months back. Late-night conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. Lena's voice through the bedroom wall. Words like burden. Words like sacrifice. I pretended not to hear. I made myself smaller. I laughed at the right times. I left the house when they had friends over. Adam shifted his weight. He wanted me to argue. To cry maybe. To beg for another chance. I pulled the deed from my filing cabinet that night. Unfolded the paper on my bed. Read my name printed in black ink. Ruth Bennett. Legal owner. Sole owner. Something unhooked inside me. I called my friend Nora the next morning. We met at the diner on 5th Street. She ordered coffee. I ordered tea. I told her the short version. She listened without interrupting. She knows how to listen. 30 years of running the school library taught her that. Nora gave me a name. Caleb Morton. Real estate agent. Discreet. Fast. I called him from the parking lot. His voice was calm. Professional. He asked 3 questions. He did not ask why. The plan formed like ice. Sell the house. Move my belongings. Leave before they could push me out. No drama. No begging. Just paperwork and exits. I walked through each room that weekend. Yellow legal pad in hand. I listed everything I had purchased. Italian leather sofa. Dining table. Chef's knives. Framed prints from the farmer's market. The dishwasher I installed myself. I took photos. Time stamps on every image. Serial numbers. Receipts from the filing cabinet. Adam and Lena left for work at 8 each morning. I scheduled showings for 9:30. Caleb brought 3 couples in 4 days. A young family loved the kitchen. The husband ran his hand along the granite countertop. The wife opened every cabinet. Their daughter asked about the backyard swing. I watched them picture their future here. They made an offer Thursday afternoon. I texted Adam, asked him not to come home early on Friday. His reply arrived in seconds. Fine. One word. It told me everything. Friday morning broke cold and clear. I drank coffee standing at the sink. The neighbor's dog barked at a delivery truck. Leaves scraped across the driveway. Normal sounds. The last normal morning in this house. Caleb called at 9. The buyers wanted to move fast. Cash purchase. No inspection contingencies. Closing in 10 days. I said yes. My voice did not shake. I booked movers under Nora's name. Rented a storage unit across town. Paid 6 months in advance. I packed my clothes first. Then books. Then the cedar box of family photos. I left Adam's childhood drawings in the attic. I left Lena's wedding china in the cabinet. That afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table. The house settled around me. Floorboards creaked. The refrigerator hummed. I had scrubbed these floors. Painted these walls. Hung curtains in every window. I had made this place a home. But a home is not walls. It is respect. It is kindness that flows both ways. This house had become a cage with my name on the deed. I called my attorney, Angela Price. She closed my original purchase 11 years ago. I told her I was selling. She asked if I was certain. I said yes. She asked if there would be interference. I paused. I said maybe. Angela works fast. She filed preemptive paperwork, proof of ownership, capacity statements. She contacted my doctor. Dr. Whitman signed a letter. It stated I was of sound mind. Full decision-making ability. No coercion. The letter sat in my folder. Ready. Adam came home late that night. He microwaved leftovers. He did not ask about my day. He scrolled through his phone while eating. Lena arrived an hour later. She glanced at me. She did not speak. They went upstairs together. Their door closed. Voices rose and fell like distant thunder. I washed the dishes. Dried them. Put them away. I wiped down the counters. I turned off the lights. I climbed the stairs to my small room. I did not sleep. Morning came with rain. It drummed against the windows. I packed the last of my books. Legal thrillers. Gardening guides. A Bible from my mother. I wrapped each one in newspaper. The doorbell rang at 10. Mrs. Klein from next door. She held a plate of cookies. Oatmeal raisin. She makes them every Tuesday. She asked if everything was all right. She said she noticed activity. Cars in the driveway. Strangers on the porch. I told her I was sorting things out. She nodded. She did not press. She said to call if I needed anything. She left the cookies. I ate one standing in the kitchen. It tasted like every ordinary Tuesday. Like the life I thought I had built here. But that life was ending. I was ending it. On my terms. With my signature. With the deed that proved this house was mine to sell. No scenes. No tears. Just the clean cut of a decision made in full daylight. The rain stopped by noon. Sunlight broke through clouds. Steam rose from the wet pavement. I watched it from the window. Disappearing into air. Leaving no trace. That is what I would do. Leave cleanly. Leave completely. Leave them the story they wanted to tell. But I would take the truth with me. Written in my name. Filed in triplicate. The house was mine. The choice was mine. The future was mine to build. I packed the last box. Sealed it with tape. Wrote my name on top in black marker. Ruth Bennett. Still here. Still deciding. Still standing. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Monday morning arrived with frost on the windows. I called Caleb at 8:15. His phone rang twice. He answered with my name. He had been expecting me. The young couple wanted to tour again. They wanted to bring their daughter. Show her the bedroom that would be hers. Caleb asked if Wednesday worked. I checked my calendar. Adam had a staff meeting. Lena worked the early shift at the mall. I said yes. He asked if I had concerns. I told him about the atmosphere in the house. The tension that hung like smoke. He said he understood. He said he had handled situations like this before. His voice carried no judgment. Just facts. Just next steps. I hung up and made tea. English breakfast. 2 sugars. The routine steadied me. Steam rose from the cup. I watched it dissolve into nothing. The mailbox flag was up. I walked down the driveway in my slippers. Dew soaked through the fabric. The cold bit at my ankles. Bills. Grocery flyers. A handwritten envelope from the church. I tucked everything under my arm. Mrs. Klein stood in her garden. She waved. I waved back. She bent to pull weeds from the flower bed. Normal life continued around me. It did not know I was disappearing from it. Back inside, I opened my laptop. Bank statements from the past year filled the screen. I printed each one. Highlighted purchases for the house. The sofa. The dining chairs. The new water heater. Yellow marks covered the pages like evidence. My phone buzzed. Angela. She asked if I had time to meet. I said yes. She suggested her office at 2. I wrote it in my planner. Black ink. Permanent. Nora called at noon. She asked how I was holding up. I told her the truth. I was tired but clear. She said that was good. Clarity was power. She offered to help pack. I accepted. We met at the house at 4. Adam's car was gone. Lena had taken Ellie to dance class. The house sat empty and waiting. Nora brought boxes from the liquor store. Sturdy ones. Good corners. We started in my bedroom. Clothes first. I folded each piece. Nora labeled boxes with a black marker. Winter sweaters. Summer dresses. Shoes. The pile grew. She found the photo album under my bed. Asked if I wanted to pack it. I held it in my hands. The cover was worn. Leather cracked at the edges. I opened to a random page. Adam at 6. Missing his front teeth. Grinning at the camera. I closed the album. Placed it in the box marked personal. Sealed the tape across the top. Nora worked without questions. She understood silence. She understood that some decisions do not need discussion. They just need doing. By 6 we had filled 12 boxes. Stacked them in the garage. Covered them with a tarp. Hidden in plain sight. I drove Nora home. She lived in a brick duplex near the community college. Ivy covered one wall. Her porch light glowed yellow. She squeezed my hand before getting out. She said I was doing the right thing. I nodded. I hoped she was correct. That night I cooked pasta. Just enough for one. I ate at the kitchen table. The house creaked around me. Pipes ticked as they cooled. The refrigerator hummed its endless song. Adam came home at 9. He looked surprised to see me. He asked if there was food. I pointed to the stove. He served himself. Ate standing up. He did not sit. He did not ask about my day. Lena arrived with Ellie at 9:30. Ellie ran to me, hugged my waist. She smelled like dance studio. Like sweat and hairspray. She told me about her recital. How she would be a snowflake. How her costume sparkled. I held her close. Memorized the weight of her. The warmth. Lena called her upstairs. Bath time. Ellie kissed my cheek and ran. I washed my dishes, dried them, put them in the cabinet. Tomorrow was Tuesday. The buyers would tour on Wednesday. Time was moving like water. Impossible to hold. Tuesday morning I called Dr. Whitman's office. The receptionist answered. I asked for an appointment. She said Dr. Whitman had an opening at 11. I took it. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and magazines. I sat in a blue chair. Filled out the form on a clipboard. Current medications. Recent surgeries. Reason for visit. I wrote capacity certification in careful letters. Dr. Whitman had been my physician for 20 years. She knew my health history. She knew I took no medications except vitamins. She knew my mind. She called me back at 11:20. Her office had a window facing the parking lot. Sunlight slanted across her desk. She asked what I needed. I explained the situation. Selling my house. Potential family interference. Need for documentation. She listened without interrupting. She made notes on her computer. The keys clicked like rain. She asked 3 questions. Was I being coerced? Was I clear about my decision? Did I understand the consequences? I answered yes, no, yes. She printed the letter, signed it at the bottom, placed it in an envelope. She said this should be sufficient. She said to call if I needed anything else. Her voice was kind but businesslike. I thanked her. Paid the copay at the front desk. $25. I had exact change. The letter sat in my purse. Proof. Protection. Power. I drove to Angela's office. A brick building downtown. 2nd floor. Her name on frosted glass. I knocked twice. She called me in. Her desk was organized chaos. Files stacked in precise towers. Coffee cup with a lipstick mark. Family photo in a silver frame. She reviewed the documents I brought. The deed. The bank statements. Dr. Whitman's letter. She made copies of everything. Filed them in a blue folder with my name. She explained the process. Closing would happen fast. 10 days if everything aligned. The buyers were motivated. Cash meant no loan delays. Angela asked about potential interference. I told her about Adam. About Lena. About the coldness in the house. She made notes. She said she would prepare for challenges. Better ready than surprised. She asked if I had a place to go. I said Nora had offered her guest room. Angela nodded. She said to pack essentials. Keep them ready. Have an exit plan. I left her office at 3:15. The sun was lowering. Shadows stretched across the parking lot. My car was warm inside. I sat for a moment. Hands on the wheel. Engine running. This was real. This was happening. In 10 days I would be gone. Wednesday arrived bright and cold. I dressed carefully. Navy slacks. White blouse. My mother's pearl earrings. I wanted to look capable. Calm. In control. The buyers arrived at 10. The husband wore a flannel shirt. The wife carried a notebook. Their daughter held a stuffed rabbit. She was 7, maybe 8, Ellie's age. They walked through slowly. The daughter loved the backyard. She ran in circles on the grass. Her parents measured windows, discussed curtains, discussed paint colors. Caleb stood beside me, silent support. He knew when to speak and when to wait. The husband asked about the neighborhood. Schools. Crime rates. I answered honestly. Good schools. Quiet streets. Neighbors who waved. They huddled by the front door. Whispered together. The daughter tugged her mother's sleeve. She wanted this house. She wanted the swing set. The wife turned to me. She said they would like to make an offer. A fair offer. She named a price. It was reasonable. Perhaps even generous. I accepted. We shook hands. Caleb pulled out paperwork. We moved to the dining table. Pens scratched across forms. Initials. Signatures. Dates. They would close in 9 days. Tuesday of next week. I would be out by Monday night. After they left, the house felt different. Lighter somehow. Already belonging to someone else. I called Nora. Told her the news. She said she would bring more boxes. We had work to do. That night I sat in my small room. Boxes lined the walls. My life reduced to cardboard and tape. But I felt no sadness. Only clarity. Only the cold, clean edge of a decision made and carried through. 9 days. Then freedom. Then a future I would build myself. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Thursday morning brought rain. It hammered the roof like impatience. I packed books in the living room. Nora worked beside me. Her hands moved steady and sure. We did not talk much. The work was enough. The doorbell rang at 10. A courier in a yellow jacket. He held a thick envelope. Required signature. I signed on the small screen. He left without meeting my eyes. Inside was a letter from First National Bank. Legal Department. The words swam together at first. Then they sharpened. Loan application. My house as collateral. Power of attorney attached. Submitted by Adam Bennett and Lena Bennett. My hands did not shake. That surprised me. I read it twice. 3 times. The signature at the bottom looked like mine. Almost. The R tilted wrong. The loop on the B too wide. Nora read over my shoulder. She said one word. Fraud. I called Angela. She answered on the first ring. I read her the letter. She asked me to photograph every page. Send them immediately. I did. The camera clicked 8 times. Angela's voice went hard. She said she would file an emergency block. She said to gather samples of my real signature. Bank documents. Old checks. Anything dated and official. I went to my bedroom. Pulled the file cabinet drawer. Tax returns from 5 years back. Mortgage papers from the original purchase. Insurance forms. My signature marched across them all. Consistent. Recognizable. Mine. I photographed 20 examples. Sent them to Angela. She confirmed receipt. She said she would contact the bank within the hour. She said not to worry. The word worry felt strange. I was not worried. I was awake. Nora made coffee. Strong and black. We sat at the kitchen table. Rain blurred the windows. The world outside looked like a watercolor. Soft edges. No definition. She asked if I was surprised. I thought about it. I said no. Disappointed perhaps. But not surprised. Desperation makes people creative. It also makes them careless. The phone rang at 11:30. Angela. The bank had frozen the application. Flagged it for investigation. They wanted to meet with me. Verify my identity. Confirm I had not authorized the loan. I agreed to go that afternoon. 2 o'clock. Angela would meet me there. She said to bring identification. Passport. Driver's license. Social security card. Build a wall of proof. Nora offered to drive. I accepted. My hands felt steady but my mind was racing. Calculations. Timelines. What else had they tried? What else was coming? We left at 1:30. The rain had stopped. Puddles reflected gray sky. The bank was downtown. Brick and glass. Revolving doors that whispered when you entered. Angela waited in the lobby. She wore a charcoal suit. Her briefcase looked expensive. She shook my hand. Her grip was firm, businesslike. Ready. We met with 2 bank officers. A man named Stevens. A woman named Rodriguez. They sat across a conference table. A recorder sat between us. Red light blinking. Stevens asked for my identification. I laid out passport, license, and social security card. He examined each one, compared the photos, checked the signatures. He nodded to Rodriguez. She opened a laptop, turned it toward me. The screen showed the loan application. My forged signature at the bottom. She asked if I had signed this document. I said no. She asked if I had authorized anyone to sign on my behalf. I said no. Stevens asked if I recognized the handwriting. I said it attempted to look like mine. He asked if I knew who might have submitted it. I paused. Angela touched my arm. I said my son and daughter-in-law were named on the application. Rodriguez made notes. She said the bank would pursue criminal charges. Fraud was a serious matter. Federal offense. Stevens said my credit would be protected. No impact to my record. I thanked them. We shook hands. The meeting ended at 2:45. Outside, the sun had broken through. Weak and watery, but there. Angela walked me to Nora's car. She said I was handling this well. I told her I had practice handling difficult things. She asked about the closing. Still on schedule. Tuesday. 6 days away. She said to expect more interference. People who would forge documents would try other tactics. I should be ready. Stay alert. Trust no one from the other side. I said I understood. She squeezed my shoulder. Professional distance but real warmth underneath. She left in a silver sedan. Nora drove us home. That evening I continued packing. Kitchen items. Measuring cups. Wooden spoons. The good chef's knife I had bought myself for Christmas. Each item wrapped in newspaper. Each box labeled in black marker. Adam came home at 7. He looked tired. He asked what I was doing. I said organizing. He looked at the boxes. Something flickered across his face. Realization maybe. Fear definitely. He went upstairs without another word. Lena arrived at 8. She saw the boxes. Her mouth tightened. She asked where I thought I was going. I said that was my business. She said this was her house. I said actually it was not. The deed said otherwise. She went pale. She walked upstairs. Voices rose. Doors slammed. The house shook with their anger. I kept packing. Dinner plates. Coffee mugs. Cloth napkins I had embroidered years ago. My phone buzzed. Angela. The bank had confirmed the investigation was open. They had contacted local authorities. Fraud unit. She said charges would likely be filed. I asked what that meant for Adam. She said consequences. Real ones. I set the phone down. Wrapped a glass bowl in newspaper. Placed it carefully in the box. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. This was the cost of protecting myself. I had not chosen it. But I would not run from it. Friday morning arrived cold and bright. Frost covered the grass. I made oatmeal. Added raisins and brown sugar. Ate standing at the counter. The house was silent. Adam and Lena had left early. No goodbyes. No breakfast made. Just empty rooms and accusation hanging in the air. Nora called at 9. She had arranged for a moving truck. Sunday afternoon. While Adam and Lena would be at Lena's parents'. 3 hours to load everything. 3 hours to disappear the evidence of my life here. I said yes. Sunday. The timeline was compressing. 5 days until closing. 2 days until the move. The end was visible now. A line drawn across the calendar. I spent the morning with my yellow legal pad. Made lists. What went to storage? What went to Norris? What stayed behind because it was never really mine? The boundary between ownership and occupation had blurred over the years. Now I was redrawing it. Sharp and clear. Mrs. Klein knocked at noon. She brought soup. Chicken noodle. Homemade. She said I looked thin. She said I should eat. She did not ask questions, but her eyes were full of them. I thanked her. Took the soup. She patted my hand. She said she had been through a divorce herself. Years ago. She said surviving takes stubbornness. She said I looked stubborn enough. After she left, I ate the soup. It was good. Salt and comfort. I washed the bowl. Dried it. Set it aside to return to her later. The afternoon stretched long and quiet. I photographed the house. Every room. Every angle. Time-stamped. Proof of condition. Proof of contents. Angela had said document everything. So I did. The camera clicked through the living room. The dining room. The kitchen. My small bedroom with its narrow bed. The bathroom I had repainted last spring. The basement where I stored holiday decorations. All of it captured. All of it preserved. That evening I sat at the kitchen table. Made a final inventory. Serial numbers for electronics. Purchase dates. Receipts paperclipped to the pages. A dossier of ownership. Evidence that would not be argued with. The house settled around me. Pipes ticked. Floorboards creaked. It was saying goodbye. Or maybe I was. Either way, the conversation was ending. I went to bed at 10. Lay in the dark. Listened to the silence. In 2 days this room would be empty. In 5 days this house would be sold. In 6 days I would wake up somewhere new. Somewhere chosen. Somewhere mine. The thought did not frighten me. It steadied me, like a hand on my back. Like solid ground after a long swim. Sleep came slowly. But it came. And I did not dream. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Saturday morning broke gray and heavy. I woke at 6. Made coffee in the quiet. The house held its breath around me. Adam and Lena's door stayed closed. No sounds from their room. Just waiting. I dressed in layers. Jeans. Sweater. My mother's watch. The second hand ticked steady and sure. Time was not stopping. Neither was I. Nora arrived at 8. She brought bagels and cream cheese. We ate standing in the kitchen. Crumbs fell on the counter. I wiped them away. Old habits. Unnecessary now. The moving truck would come tomorrow. Sunday at 2. Adam and Lena would be gone by 1. Family dinner at her parents' house. They went every week. Like clockwork. I had counted on it. Today was for final preparations. Last boxes. Last photographs. Last walk through empty rooms. Nora had a checklist. She believed in order. So did I. We worked through the morning. Wrapped dishes in bubble wrap. Taped boxes shut. Labeled everything. Kitchen. Bedroom. Personal. Storage. The marker squeaked across cardboard. Black lines. Clear instructions. At 11 Mrs. Klein knocked. She did not have cookies this time. She had information. She said a truck had come by yesterday. 2 men in work clothes. They had talked to Lena. Pointed at my furniture. Mrs. Klein had watched from her window. She thought I should know. I thanked her. She left quickly. Nervous energy in her steps. Nora looked at me. Asked what I thought it meant. I said it meant today would be interesting. We finished packing by noon. 23 boxes total. Stacked in the garage. Hidden under tarps. ready for tomorrow. Nora left to run errands. She would be back at 5. I was alone in the house. The silence felt different now. Charged. Electric. Something was building. At 1:30 a truck pulled into the driveway. White. No company name. 2 men climbed out. Young. Muscular. They wore black t-shirts. Neither smiled. I opened the front door. Stood in the frame. Asked if I could help them. The taller one said they were here for a pickup. Lena had hired them. Furniture and household items. He had a list on his phone. I asked to see it. He showed me. Italian sofa. Dining table. Bedroom set. Television. Kitchen appliances. My purchases. My property. Listed like it belonged to someone else. I said there was a mistake. These items were not for pickup. The man said Lena had paid them. Half up front. They had a job to do. I asked them to wait. Went inside. Called Angela. She answered immediately. I explained the situation. She said to record everything. Do not let them take anything. She would call the police if needed. I went back outside. Told the men they could not remove anything. The property owner had not authorized this. The shorter one laughed. Said Lena was the owner. Said they had been told an old woman was causing problems. The words landed like ice water. Old woman. Causing problems. I kept my face still. Told them the deed was in my name. They could check public records. They were welcome to call the police themselves. The tall one made a phone call. Turned away. Spoke in low tones. He hung up. Looked at me. Said they were leaving. Too much drama. Not worth the money. They climbed back in the truck. It backed out. Disappeared down the street. I stood in the driveway. Breathing slowly. The sun was warm on my face. My hands were cold. I had won this round. But the fight was not over. Inside, I photographed everything again. Timestamps. New evidence. New proof. Angela had taught me to document every incident. Build the case. Prepare for escalation. At 3 the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. A woman in a navy blazer. Clipboard in hand. Official looking. I opened the door halfway. She introduced herself as Ms. Cho, Adult Protective Services. She had received a report. Concerns about my welfare, financial abuse, possible coercion. She needed to conduct a wellness check. I invited her in, led her to the living room, offered coffee. She declined, sat with her clipboard balanced on her knee, asked questions in a gentle voice. Was I being pressured to sell my home? No. Was anyone controlling my finances? No. Did I feel safe? Yes. Was I making decisions of my own free will? Yes. She made notes. Asked if I had documentation. I showed her the deed. The closing documents. Dr. Whitman's capacity letter. Bank statements. Tax records. Everything organized in a blue folder. Everything proving I was competent. Clear. Choosing. Ms. Cho reviewed each page. She asked about my living situation. I explained. My son and his family. The request for me to leave. My decision to sell. She nodded. Made more notes. She asked about the APS report. Who had filed it? She said she could not disclose. But she said false reports were taken seriously. They wasted resources. They had consequences. She closed her folder. Said she was satisfied. No concerns about my capacity or safety. She would close the case today. File it as unfounded. She said I seemed very capable of managing my affairs. I thanked her. Walked her to the door. She paused on the porch. Said quietly that she had seen this pattern before. Family members who felt entitled. Who pushed back when boundaries were set. She said to stay strong. Stay documented. Stay safe. After she left, I made tea. Chamomile. It smelled like my grandmother's kitchen. Like comfort from decades past. I sat at the table. Hands wrapped around the warm cup. The house ticked and settled. At 4:30 Adam came home. He looked surprised to see me. Asked why there was an APS worker here. I asked how he knew. He said Mrs. Klein had texted Lena. The neighborhood was watching. I told him the visit was resolved. Nothing to worry about. He asked if I was really selling the house. I said yes. He asked where I would go. I said that was my concern. Not his. His face went red. He said this was his home. His daughter's home. I was being selfish. Vindictive. Taking away their stability. I set down my teacup. Told him the deed had my name. Not his. I had given him use of the house. Not ownership. There was a difference. He had forgotten it. I had not. He said he would fight this. Get a lawyer. Stop the sale. I said he was welcome to try. The closing was Tuesday. 3 days away. He did not have much time. He left. Slammed the bedroom door. The walls shook. I finished my tea. Washed the cup. Dried it. Set it in the cabinet. Nora returned at 5. Brought Chinese takeout. We ate from cartons. Sat at the kitchen table. She asked how my day had been. I told her. All of it. The truck. The APS visit. The confrontation. She shook her head. Said some people never learned. She asked if I was okay. I said yes. Tired but okay. Tomorrow the furniture would move. Monday I would pack my last belongings. Tuesday I would sign papers and hand over keys. 3 days. 72 hours. Then it would be finished. That night I slept in my clothes. Shoes beside the bed. Phone charged and ready. Just in case. Just because the day had taught me to expect anything. But the night passed quietly. No knocks. No calls. No emergencies manufactured to stop me. Just darkness. Just the slow turn of hours toward Sunday. Toward the moving truck. Toward the next step in leaving. At 6 I woke. Made coffee. Watched the sun rise through the kitchen window. Pink light spread across the counter. Sunday had arrived. The last full day in this house. I had survived Saturday. The attempts to stop me. The accusations. The pressure. I had stood my ground. Shown my documents. Spoken my truth. Today I would load a truck. Tomorrow I would pack my suitcase. Tuesday I would walk away. Free. Clear. Unbroken. The coffee was strong and bitter. I drank it black. Let it wake me fully. The day ahead would be long. But I was ready. I had been preparing for this. For all of it. Since the moment Adam stood in the living room and told me I was too much. Now I would show him what too much really looked like. It looked like a woman who knew her rights. Who kept her records. Who would not be moved unless she chose to move herself. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Sunday morning the house woke slowly. Adam and Lena left at noon. Ellie wore a yellow dress. She waved from the car window. I waved back. The car disappeared around the corner. 3 hours. Maybe 4 if traffic was good. The moving truck arrived at 2:15. White with blue lettering. 2 men climbed out. One wore a bandana. The other had a clipboard. They introduced themselves. Marcus and Joel. They had moved Nora's sister last month. She had vouched for them. I showed them what needed loading. 23 boxes. The Italian sofa. The dining table and chairs. My bedroom set. Kitchen items wrapped and ready. They nodded, started carrying boxes. Their footsteps echoed through empty rooms. Nora arrived at 2:30. She brought bottled water, granola bars. She knew how to support without crowding. We stood in the driveway, watched furniture emerge from the house. Pieces of my life carried into sunlight. The sofa went first. Forest green leather. I had saved for 6 months to buy it. It had cushioned 1,000 evenings. Now it rode into a truck bed, secured with straps, ready for storage. At 3:15 my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later it rang again. Same number. I answered. A man's voice. Clipped. Professional. He said he was calling from Whitmore and Associates. Law firm. He represented Adam and Lena Bennett. They were filing an emergency injunction. The house sale must stop. There were inheritance concerns, below market pricing, undue influence. I asked for his name. He said James Whitmore. I asked for his bar number. He gave it. I wrote it down. Told him my attorney would be in touch. He said the papers would be filed by end of business. I said we would see. I hung up. Nora looked at me, asked what that was. I told her. She shook her head, said they were desperate now, throwing anything at the wall. I called Angela, left a detailed message, included the attorney's name and number. The movers kept working. They did not care about phone calls or threats. They cared about sofas and boxes, about straps and dollies, about getting paid. It was refreshing. By 4 the truck was half loaded. Marcus asked about the television. 65-inch, mounted on the living room wall. I said yes. He and Joel lifted it carefully, wrapped it in blankets, carried it like a newborn. Angela called back at 4:20. She had contacted Whitmore. He was real. Small practice. Family law mostly. She had explained the situation. Showed him the documentation. He had gone quiet. Said he would call his clients. Advise them. Angela thought the injunction would not materialize. I thanked her. Watched the movers load my kitchen table. Oak. Solid. I had refinished it myself. Sanded it. Stained it. Sealed it. Hours of work. Now it disappeared into the truck. At 4:40 a black SUV pulled up. Parked across the driveway. Blocked the truck. 3 people got out. A man in a gray suit. 2 others in business casual. The man approached. Introduced himself as James Whitmore. Said he needed to speak with me. I stepped forward. Nora beside me. Whitmore held papers. Said it was a temporary restraining order. The sale could not proceed. I asked to see it. He handed it over. The document looked official. Court letterhead. Judge's signature. It ordered me to cease all activity related to selling the property. Effective immediately. Penalties for violation. I read it twice. Looked at the date. Today. The timestamp. 3:45. 55 minutes ago. I looked at Whitmore. Asked which court. He named it. County Courthouse. Judge Morrison. I handed the papers to Nora. Told her to photograph every page. She pulled out her phone. Started clicking. Whitmore objected. Said that was not necessary. I said it was very necessary. She kept photographing. I called Caleb. Told him about the restraining order. He said to send photos immediately. He would contact the courthouse. Verify the order. He said Sunday filings were rare but possible. He would call back. Whitmore stood with his arms crossed. Said I needed to stop the moving process. Send the movers away. Restore the property to its original state. I asked on whose authority. He pointed to the papers. Said the court's authority. The movers had stopped working. Stood by the truck, uncertain. I told them to take a break. Drink water. We would resume shortly. Marcus nodded. They sat on the curb. Caleb called back at 5. His voice was tight, controlled. He had spoken to the courthouse. No record of any filing. No emergency hearing. No Judge Morrison in that district. The restraining order was fake. I thanked him. Hung up. Looked at Whitmore. Told him his document was fraudulent. He went pale. Started to speak. I held up my hand. Said my attorney had verified. No court record. No valid order. He should leave now. Before police were called. Whitmore looked at the two people with him. They shifted nervously. He said there must be a mistake. A filing error. I said there was indeed a mistake. He had made it. He needed to go. He walked back to the SUV. Slowly. The others followed. The vehicle pulled away. Tires squeaked on pavement. The driveway emptied. Nora laughed. A short bark of surprise. She said that was bold. Stupid but bold. I agreed. Desperation made people reckless. It also made them sloppy. I called Angela. Told her what happened. She said to file a police report. Immediately. Forging court documents was a crime. So was impersonating legal authority. I said I would. She said she would contact the state bar. Whitmore's license would be reviewed. The movers stood. Asked if they could continue. I said yes. Please. They went back to work. Carried boxes. Loaded furniture. Did their job while mine fell apart and rebuilt itself in the same afternoon. By 6 the truck was full. Every box. Every piece of furniture. Everything I owned that mattered. Marcus closed the rear door. Secured the latch. Joel handed me a receipt. Storage unit address printed at the bottom. I paid them. Cash. They had earned it. Plus a tip. Marcus thanked me. Said he hoped things worked out. I said they already had. He smiled. They drove away. The truck turned the corner. My possessions with it. The house felt massive now. Empty rooms echoed. Bare walls. Clean floors. Ghosts of furniture marked the carpet. Rectangles where tables had stood. Circles where lamps had glowed. Nora and I walked through. Said goodbye to spaces. The kitchen where I had cooked 1,000 meals. The living room where I had read to Ellie. The small bedroom where I had slept and planned and survived. At 6:30 we left. Locked the door. I kept one key. The rest went in an envelope for the buyers. We drove to Nora's house. She had made the guest room ready. Fresh sheets. Towels folded on the dresser. A lamp that gave soft light. I sat on the bed. The mattress was firm. The room smelled like lavender. Nora asked if I needed anything. I said no, just sleep. She hugged me. Left me alone. I changed into pajamas. Brushed my teeth. Lay in the dark. My phone buzzed. A text from Adam. He was home. The house was empty. Where was everything? What had I done? I did not reply. Turned off the phone. Closed my eyes. Tomorrow was Monday. One day before closing. One day before the end. One day before freedom. The threats had come. The fake lawyers. The forged documents. The attempts to stop me. They had all failed. I was still moving forward. Still signed to the contract. Still leaving on my terms. Sleep came easier than expected. The bed was not mine. The room was not mine. But the peace was. Hard won. Defended. Kept. When I woke at dawn, Monday had arrived. The last full day. 24 hours until the closing. Until signatures and keys. Until the door locked behind me for the final time. I dressed quietly. Made coffee in Nora's kitchen. Watched sunrise paint the window gold. Today would bring more challenges. More attempts to stop me. But I had survived Sunday. I had outsmarted the fake restraining order. I had moved my possessions to safety. One more day. Then victory. Then the rest of my life. Chosen. Clean. Mine. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Monday morning I woke in Nora's guest room. Sunlight filtered through blue curtains. The clock read 6:15. My last full day before closing. 24 hours until the papers were signed. I dressed in the dark. Did not want to wake Nora. She had given me sanctuary. The least I could give was quiet. Jeans. Navy sweater. Comfortable shoes. Clothes for a long day. Coffee was already brewing. Nora stood at the counter. She was an early riser too. We drank in silence. Comfortable. No need for words. The kitchen smelled like toast and new beginnings. At 7:30 my phone rang. Detective Alvarez. Sheriff's office. He said someone had filed a theft complaint. Adam and Lena Bennett. They claimed I had stolen property during the move. Furniture. Electronics. Personal items. He needed me to come in. I said I could be there at 9. He said that worked. Gave me the address. I wrote it on Nora's notepad. She looked at me. Raised her eyebrows. I told her. Another attempt. Another accusation. She shook her head. Said some people never learn. I gathered my documents. The blue folder was thick now. Receipts. Photos. Serial numbers. Credit card statements. Bank records. A spreadsheet with dates and purchases. Everything organized. Everything provable. Nora offered to drive. I accepted. We left at 8:15. The sheriff's office was downtown. Brick building. American flag out front. Parking lot half full. Detective Alvarez met us in the lobby. Tall. Gray hair. Kind eyes. He led us to a small room. Metal table. Plastic chairs. Recording equipment on the wall. He said this was just routine. No accusations. Just questions. I laid out my folder. Opened it like evidence. Because it was. He leaned forward. Looked at the first page. A receipt from Furniture Depot. Italian sofa. Dated 3 years ago. My name. My credit card. He turned pages slowly. Asked if I had documentation for everything. I said yes. Every major purchase. Every installation. Every repair. He made notes. His pen scratched across paper. I showed him photos taken before the move. Timestamps visible. Serial numbers highlighted. Then photos after. Empty rooms. Clean floors. Nothing damaged. Nothing hidden. Alvarez studied the spreadsheet. Items listed by room. Purchase dates. Costs. Sources. He asked about the television. I showed him the Best Buy receipt. Extended warranty in my name. He nodded. He asked about Adam and Lena's claims. What they said was missing. I said they claimed ownership of items I had purchased. He asked if they had receipts. I said I doubted it. He said that was a problem for them. The interview lasted 40 minutes. At the end he closed my folder. Handed it back. Said the complaint appeared baseless. No evidence of theft. Strong documentation of ownership. He would mark it as unfounded. He said I could file a counterclaim. False report was a misdemeanor. Came with fines. Sometimes jail time. I thought about it. Said no. I wanted clean exits. Not legal battles. Just freedom. He understood. Said to call if there were more problems. Nora and I left at 9:45. Drove back to her house. The sun was bright now. Traffic was light. Monday morning moving slow and steady. One crisis handled. How many more would come? At 10:15 Angela called. She had news. Not good. A psychiatric evaluation had surfaced. Supposedly mine. It claimed I was experiencing cognitive decline, impaired judgment, susceptible to manipulation. It recommended guardianship. My hands went cold. I asked where it came from. She said it was emailed to the title company. Anonymous sender. But the document bore Dr. Patel's signature. A psychiatrist I had never met. Never heard of. Angela had already contacted the clinic listed. They had no record of me. No appointments. No evaluation. Dr. Patel confirmed she had never assessed me. Her signature was forged. She was filing a police report. So was Angela. I asked about the closing. Could this stop it? Angela said no. The title company had been informed. The document was fraudulent, easily disproven, but it showed escalation, desperation turning to forgery. Multiple crimes now. The net was tightening around Adam and Lena. I thanked her, hung up, sat at Nora's kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug gone cold. They had forged a psychiatric evaluation. Tried to have me declared incompetent. It was brazen. It was stupid. It was criminal. Nora asked if I was okay. I said yes. Angry but okay. She made fresh coffee. We sat together. The morning stretched out. Quiet now. Waiting for the next shoe to drop. At 11 I drove to the old house. One last visit. One last walk through empty rooms. The key turned smooth in the lock. The door swung open. Silence greeted me. The living room echoed. No furniture. No rugs. Just carpet with furniture shadows. Rectangles and circles. Ghost shapes. I walked through slowly. Said goodbye to walls. To windows. To the life I had tried to build here. The kitchen held memories. Ellie at the table. Coloring books spread out. Her small voice singing. I had loved those mornings. Before everything soured. Before I became a burden instead of family. My bedroom was smallest. The closet stood empty. Door ajar. I had spent 3 years in this room. Reading. Planning. Surviving. Now it was just space. Neutral. Waiting for the next person. I checked every room. Made sure nothing was left. No forgotten items. No excuses for them to contact me later. The house was clean. Ready. Released. At noon I locked the door. Walked to my car. Did not look back. That chapter was closing. Tomorrow it would be sealed. Signed. Finished. I drove to a diner on Main Street. Ordered soup and a sandwich. Ate alone in a corner booth. The food was ordinary. Exactly what I needed. No drama. No complications. Just lunch. My phone buzzed. A text from Adam. He said we needed to talk. He said this had gone too far. He said family should not treat each other this way. The irony was thick enough to choke on. I did not reply. Turned off my phone. Finished my soup. Paid the check. Left a good tip. The waitress had been kind. Kindness should be rewarded. At 2 I went to the police station. Filed a report about the forged psychiatric evaluation. The officer took my statement. Copied Dr. Patel's letter confirming the forgery. Added it to the growing file. He said investigators were already looking into the case. Multiple forgeries. Identity theft. Filing false reports. The charges were piling up. I asked what would happen next. He said arrests were likely. Soon. Maybe this week. He could not say more. I thanked him, left with a case number written on a card. By 3 I was back at Norris. Exhausted, drained, but still standing, still moving forward. The day had brought attacks, accusations, forgeries. All of them had failed. All of them had been documented, added to evidence, used against the accusers. I lay on the guest bed, closed my eyes, did not sleep, just rested, let my body recover. Tomorrow at 10 was the closing. Angela, Caleb, the buyers, me, all gathered around a table, signing papers, exchanging keys, ending this. At 5 Nora knocked softly, asked if I wanted dinner. I said yes. We ate pasta at her kitchen table. She had made sauce from scratch. It tasted like comfort, like safety, like friendship that did not demand anything. After dinner I packed my small suitcase. Everything I would need for the next few days. Toiletries, clothes, my mother's watch, the deed to the house. Tomorrow I would hand it over. Transfer ownership. Walk away free. That night I sat in the dark guest room. Moonlight fell through the window. Silver and cold. I thought about Adam, about Ellie, about the family I had tried to protect by giving them a home. They had taken the home, forgotten the giver, tried to erase me when I became inconvenient. But I had not erased. I had documented, prepared, fought back with facts and laws and boundaries. Tomorrow would be victory, not sweet, not satisfying, just necessary, like surgery, like cutting away infection to save the body. I would sign papers, hand over keys, walk out of that office free. The house would be gone. But I would remain, standing, clear, my own person. Sleep came near midnight, fitful, full of dreams I forgot on waking. But I woke. Monday was over. Tuesday had arrived. Closing day. The end of one life. The beginning of another. Chosen. Mine. Uncompromised. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Tuesday morning arrived with rain. Soft at first, then steady. The sound filled Nora's guest room. I woke at 5:30. Closing was at 10. 4.5 hours. Then it would be finished. I dressed carefully. Black slacks. White blouse. My mother's pearl earrings. Professional. Respectful. Ready. The woman in the mirror looked calm. She was lying. My hands trembled as I buttoned my sleeves. Nora made breakfast. Scrambled eggs. Toast with butter. Orange juice in a glass. I ate without tasting. Food was fuel. Nothing more. She asked if I was nervous. I said no. She knew I was lying. Did not call me on it. At 8:30 Angela called. Last-minute instructions. Bring identification. Bring the deed. Bring nothing else. The buyers would arrive at 9:45. We would start promptly at 10. She asked if I was ready. I said yes. This time I was not lying. Nora drove. The windshield wipers beat rhythm. Left right. Left right. Metronome of departure. Downtown was quiet. Tuesday morning before coffee break. Shops still dark. Streets slick with rain. The title company occupied a narrow brick building. Second floor. Stairs creaked under our feet. The reception area smelled like old paper and new beginnings. A woman at the desk smiled. Asked my name. Checked her list. Said conference room B. Down the hall. Angela was already there. Navy suit. Briefcase open. Papers spread across the table. She stood when I entered. Shook my hand. Her grip was firm, confident. She said everything was in order. No last-minute complications. We were clear to proceed. Caleb arrived at 9:40. He carried a leather portfolio. Nodded at me. Took a seat. Reviewed documents silently. His pen tapped the table. Nervous energy contained. The buyers arrived at 9:45. The young couple. Their daughter stayed with grandparents today. Too important for interruptions. The husband wore a suit. The wife wore a dress. Both looked excited, scared, the way people do at thresholds. We sat around the conference table. 6 people. 2 witnesses from the title company. Papers stacked in the center. A pen at each place. Black ink. Permanent marks. At 9:55 the title officer began. She explained the process. Each document. Each signature required. She spoke in a calm, measured voice. This was routine for her. For me it was revolution. The first document was the deed transfer. I signed on the line. Ruth Bennett. My hand did not shake. The pen glided smooth. The husband signed. The wife signed. Witnesses signed. The house changed owners. Just like that. Ink on paper. Done. Next came the settlement statement. Numbers in columns. Purchase price. Closing costs. Title insurance. Everything itemized. Everything clear. I initialed each page. Signed the last. Money would transfer by end of day. The title officer moved through pages. Disclosures. Affidavits. Attestations. Each one requiring a signature. Each one building the wall between my past and my future. I signed them all. Carefully. Deliberately. Claiming my choice. At 10:20 we finished. The title officer collected documents. Made copies. Handed me a folder. My copies. Proof of sale. Receipt of payment. New bank account information. Everything I needed to prove this was real. She handed the buyers their folder. Thicker than mine. It contained their future. Keys went into an envelope. 2 sets. Front door. Back door. The wife held them like treasure. Her eyes were wet. Happy tears. Beginning tears. I stood. Shook hands. Wished them well. Meant it. They seemed like good people. They would make that house a home. Maybe a better one. Maybe one with less sorrow soaked into the walls. Outside the rain had stopped. Puddles reflected gray sky. Nora waited on the sidewalk. I walked toward her. Light on my feet. Lighter than I had been in years. Behind me the building held signed papers. Completed transactions. Closed chapters. We drove to the bank. My new account waited. The transfer would arrive by 3. I would check. Make sure. Trust but verify. Always verify. At 11:30 we stopped for coffee. A small shop near the library. The barista knew Nora. Made her usual without asking. I ordered black coffee. Simple. Direct. The way I wanted my life now. We sat by the window. Watched people pass. Normal Tuesday lives. Work. Errands. Lunch plans. I was one of them now. Not trapped. Not erased. Just a woman with coffee and choices. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. She said she was calling from Hartley and Sons. Law firm representing Adam and Lena Bennett. They wanted to negotiate. Discuss settlement. Avoid further legal action. I asked what they wanted to settle. She said the house sale. They believed it was conducted under duress. Below market value. They wanted compensation. I asked how much. She named a figure. Half the sale price. I laughed. Could not help it. The sound surprised me. I said the sale was legal. Documented. Completed. There was nothing to negotiate. She said they would file suit. I said they were welcome to try. My attorney would respond appropriately. I hung up. Nora raised her eyebrows. I told her. Another attorney. Another threat. She said they were running out of moves. I agreed. The house was sold. The money was transferring. There was nothing left to take. Only consequences to face. At 1 o'clock I went to my new apartment. Small. Second floor. Good light. Hardwood floors. 1 bedroom. 1 bathroom. Tiny kitchen. It was perfect. It was mine. Lease signed last week. Keys received this morning. The space was empty. My furniture sat in storage. I would retrieve it tomorrow. Today was for standing in rooms that belonged only to me. For breathing air that held no criticism. For beginning. I walked from room to room. Measured windows for curtains. Planned furniture placement. Imagined mornings without tension. Evenings without whispers. A life lived at full volume. No apologies required. At 2:30 Angela called. She had heard from Hartley and Sons. She had responded. Firmly. The sale was complete. Legal. Unassailable. Any lawsuit would be frivolous. She had sent them our documentation. The forgeries. The false reports. The criminal investigations. They had gone quiet, likely advising their clients to drop it. She said something else. Detective Alvarez had called her. Warrants were being prepared. For Adam. For Lena. Multiple counts. Fraud. Forgery. Filing false reports. Arrests would happen soon. This week probably. She wanted me to know. Be prepared for fallout. I thanked her. Hung up. Sat on the apartment floor. Back against the wall. Warrants. Arrests. My son. Ellie's father. It should have hurt more. Maybe I was too tired. Maybe I had grieved this loss already. In stages. Over months. Until nothing was left but acceptance. At 3 I checked my bank account. The transfer had cleared. Full amount. Purchase price minus closing costs. A number with many zeros. Enough to start over. Enough to build something new. Enough. I called Nora. Told her. She said congratulations. Asked how I felt. I said free. Tired and sad and free. She said that was honest. Honesty was good. I agreed. That evening I stayed in the empty apartment. Nora had offered her guest room again. I said no. I needed to be here. In my own space. Even without furniture. Even with just a sleeping bag on the floor. I ordered pizza. Ate sitting on the floor. Watched sunset through the window. Orange light filled the room. Turned walls golden. This was mine. These walls. This light. This quiet. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I did not recognize. It said, "This is not over. You will regret this." The threat was vague. Impotent. I deleted it. Blocked the number. Threats had no power when you had already lost everything that mattered. When you had chosen to let it go. I unrolled the sleeping bag. Made a nest in the bedroom. The floor was hard. I did not care. This discomfort was chosen. Temporary. Different from the grinding discomfort of living where I was not wanted. Sleep came slowly. The apartment made unfamiliar sounds. Pipes. Footsteps above. Traffic below. City sounds. Solo living sounds. I lay in the dark. Listened. Let them become familiar. This was home now. These sounds. This space. This freedom. At midnight I was still awake. Thinking about Ellie. About the grandmother I would not get to be. About the cost of boundaries. It was high. But the cost of having none was higher. I had paid that price for 3 years. I was done paying. Wednesday would bring new rhythms. Unpacking. Arranging. Building a life that fit me. No compromises. No apologies. Just choices. Made clearly. Lived fully. Mine. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Wednesday morning I woke on the hard floor. Sunlight streamed through bare windows. My back ached. My neck was stiff. I had never felt better. This pain was mine. Chosen. Temporary. Coffee from a thermos. Nora had filled it yesterday. Still hot. Still strong. I sat cross-legged on the sleeping bag. Sipped slowly. Planned the day. Furniture delivery at 10. Grocery shopping at 2. Dinner alone in my own kitchen. At 8 I walked to the corner bakery. Bought a blueberry muffin. Ate it on a bench outside. Watched the neighborhood wake up. Dog walkers. Commuters. A woman pushing a stroller. Normal life. I was part of it now. Anonymous. Free. The moving truck arrived at 9:50. Same crew. Marcus and Joel. They remembered me. Asked how I was doing. I said better. Much better. They smiled. Hauled boxes up narrow stairs. Carried furniture through tight doorways. Made my life visible again. The Italian sofa looked smaller in the new living room. Or maybe the room was bigger. More honest. No tension compressed into corners. No anger taking up space. Just furniture and air and possibility. By noon everything was unloaded. Boxes stacked by room. Furniture placed approximately. Good enough for now. I paid the movers. Thanked them. They left with waves and good wishes. The door closed. Silence settled. My silence. Clean and complete. I unpacked the kitchen first. Plates in the cabinet. Glasses by the sink. Chef's knife in the drawer. Each item found its place. No one questioned my choices. No one rearranged after I left the room. Just me and my decisions. At 1:30 Detective Alvarez called. He said arrests had been made that morning. Adam Bennett, Lena Bennett, multiple charges, fraud, forgery, identity theft. They were being processed. Bail hearing tomorrow. He wanted me to know. I thanked him. Asked if I needed to do anything. He said no. The evidence spoke for itself. Forged documents. False reports. Bank fraud. The case was strong. He said I might be called as a witness. Eventually. Not yet. After hanging up I sat at my small kitchen table. Hands wrapped around cold coffee. My son was in jail. His wife beside him. Ellie with relatives. The family had imploded. I had lit the match by refusing to disappear. Guilt tried to surface. I pushed it down. Not today. Maybe never. They had chosen their actions. Forgery. Fraud. Lies upon lies. I had only chosen to protect myself. To keep what was mine. The consequences were theirs to carry. At 2 I drove to the grocery store. Filled a cart. Bread. Cheese. Fresh vegetables. Coffee. Everything I liked. Nothing I bought to please others. The freedom of it hit me in the produce section. I could buy any apple. Any brand. Any amount. No negotiation required. Back home I put groceries away. Filled the refrigerator. Stocked the pantry. Made the space mine with small choices. Orange juice not apple. Wheat bread not white. My preferences. My kitchen. At 4 Nora stopped by. Brought a housewarming gift. A small plant. Jade. Easy to care for. Hard to kill. She said it reminded her of me. I laughed. Hugged her. Put it on the windowsill where light fell warm and steady. We sat on the sofa. Drank tea. She asked how I felt. I said strange. Sad. Relieved. Free. All at once. She said that was normal. Grief and joy could coexist. Both were honest. Both were allowed. She told me about a pottery class. Wednesday evenings at the community center. Beginner's welcome. She thought I might like it. I said yes. Immediately. Something new. Something mine. Something that required only my own 2 hands. After she left, I made dinner. Pasta with vegetables. Simple. Good. I ate at the table. No television. No phone. Just food and quiet and the sound of my own breathing. At 7, Angela called. She had news. Adam and Lena's attorney had contacted her. They wanted to drop all claims. No lawsuits. No appeals. They acknowledged the sale was legal. In exchange, they asked that I not pursue additional charges. Civil claims. Financial damages. I thought about it. Asked what she recommended. She said it was my choice. We had grounds for civil action. Emotional distress. Legal fees. We could win. But it would take time. Energy. More months tangled with them. I said no. Let it end. The criminal charges would proceed. That was not my decision. But civil court. More lawyers. More confrontation. I was done. I wanted peace. She said she understood. Would communicate my decision. That evening I unpacked books. Lined them on shelves. Legal thrillers. Gardening guides. Poetry I had not read in years. Each spine was a small promise. Time ahead for reading. For quiet. For pleasure. At 9 I made my bed. Real sheets. Real pillows. The floor had served its purpose. Teaching me I could survive anything. Even discomfort. Even starting over at 63. But comfort was allowed now. Earned. Claimed. Before sleeping I wrote in a small journal. 3 lines only. What I finished. What I let go. What I looked forward to. Today I wrote, finished the move. Let go of guilt. Looking forward to pottery class. The words looked simple. They were not. Each one represented miles traveled. Battles fought. Dignity defended. But they fit on 3 lines. That was enough. Thursday morning brought rain again. Softer this time. Gentle. I made coffee. Stood at the window. Watched water run down glass. Thought about nothing in particular. The luxury of an empty mind. No strategies. No defenses. Just morning and rain and steam rising from my cup. At 10 I walked to the community center. Signed up for pottery. Wednesday at 6. 12 weeks. The instructor was a young woman with clay under her nails. She said everyone starts somewhere. Usually badly. I said that was fine. I was comfortable with beginnings. I walked through the park after. Geese on the pond. Leaves starting to turn. Autumn arriving without asking permission. Just showing up. Changing things. I sat on a bench. Watched an old couple feed ducks. They moved in sync. Decades of practice. Love that looked like habit. Good habit. At noon I met Nora for lunch. Small cafe near her house. We ordered soup. Talked about small things. Her sister's birthday. My pottery class. The weather turning. Normal conversation. No crisis. No legal documents. Just friendship. Easy and earned. She asked about Ellie, if I missed her. I said yes. Every day. She asked if I regretted my choice. I said no. Missing someone and regretting boundaries were different things. I could hold both. One did not erase the other. After lunch I drove to my old neighborhood. Did not mean to. Just ended up there. Muscle memory maybe. Or curiosity. I parked across the street. Looked at the house. The new owners had hung curtains. White. Cheerful. A bike leaned against the porch. Life was happening there. Different life. New life. I did not feel sad. Did not feel anything really. Just observation. That was a place I used to live. Now I lived somewhere else. Simple as that. Geography had changed. I had survived the changing. At 3 I went home. My home. The apartment on 2nd Street. Small and mine. I made tea. Unpacked more boxes. Hung pictures. Made the space look lived in. Look chosen. Look like a place someone would want to be. That someone was me. Evening came gentle. No sharp edges. I made dinner. Salmon. Roasted vegetables. Ate slowly. Tasted everything. No one needed the table when I was done. I could leave my plate. My cup. Wash them later. Or now. My choice. Always my choice. At 8 Angela sent a final email. The criminal case was proceeding. My involvement was minimal. Character witness possibly. Nothing more. Civil matters were closed. No claims pending. The house was sold. The money was mine. The chapter was finished. I closed the laptop. Sat in the quiet. The apartment hummed around me. Refrigerator. Heat clicking on. Footsteps upstairs. Sounds of living. My living. Earned through clear boundaries and careful documentation and refusing to disappear. Before bed I stood at the window. City lights below. Stars hidden by clouds. Tomorrow was Friday. A week since the closing. A lifetime since Adam told me I was too much. I had proven him wrong. Not too much. Exactly enough. Enough to survive. To rebuild. To choose. Sleep came easy. No floor tonight. Just a bed. Clean sheets. Quiet rooms. And the solid knowledge that every door had a lock. Every key was mine. Every choice belonged to no one but me.